What did it tell you about Chris Olave last year for him to have 2 touchdown catches in the Michigan game like that and sort of bust on the scene in a game that important? What did you learn about him?
Well, I think you learned what followed after that, which is that he's a great player. I don't think anybody really knew up until that game what he was capable of, and then what you've seen afterwards is what he is capable of. So, just obviously to play in a game like that and to become a legend in the history of the game, as a freshman, to block a punt and have 2 touchdowns, that's just unbelievable. And then look what he's done from here. So that was a great way to start off his career.
Talking about the way, obviously it does seem like Michigan is playing more zone this year. Ohio State was a time when Ohio State was playing press man pretty much every snap several years ago, and now you guys mix up coverages. In today's day and age, do you feel like most defenses have to give different looks at this point? Can a good college team really come out and say, we're playing man, we dare you to beat us? Or is it just hard to do that in this day?
I mean, yeah, teams do, and teams like to change it up. I mean, I'll say this, nobody gives more looks than Don Brown when it comes to different looks. I mean, he takes a lot of pride in that. I know that, and over the years, his different teams, they'll play more zone than man. They'll play more zone than or man than zone. And what he does a great job of is he puts his guys in position to be successful. And so again, some of those things last year, maybe it seemed like, man, they were still zone. And so he changes it up, and he does a great job. And I know he's going to do a really good job this weekend.
And this is a repeating question you've been asked a million times. Everybody grows up with stuff. The 2 previous head coaches here grew up with this. Jim Tressel and Urban Meyer could tell stories of when they were a kid, and they did, about Ohio State, Michigan. You didn't grow up in Ohio. It doesn't disqualify you from being the Ohio State head coach or from this rivalry. But I don't know, can you just explain when you come to learn about something as an adult, right, that maybe it's not in you, but I think maybe on some level, you have a different appreciation of it because it's not necessarily in your blood, but man, when you start learning about it, you do start understanding it. Just that process for you, the history of it, the intensity of it, because you really did come to it more as an adult.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think that for me to see what this means to the people of Ohio and the Buckeye Nation, that's to me where it really hits home to me, and it strikes at my heart strong, because I just see that this is everything. I just know that the Ohio State football team means everything to the people of Ohio. It runs deep in their blood, and it's who they are. It's their identity. It's their pride. And to be the head coach of the football team, that's just an unbelievable responsibility, and that's why we stay late at night. We come early in the morning and make sure we do everything we can to make sure we're successful in this game, because it means so much to so many people, and I take that to heart.
Far left, Lori.
You were asked about sort of your history with rivalries as a sports fan, but you were a football player yourself. What's your experience with rivalry games in terms of your play as a quarterback?
When I was in college, we had a rivalry against Maine, and that was big. Back in New Hampshire, we had that. We fought for the musket. That was the prize, and so that was a big rivalry for us. And then growing up, there was a lot of, in our town of Manchester, New Hampshire, we have about 100,000 people in 4 high schools, and there was rivalry games, crosstown rivals, things like that. We played our Thanksgiving Day. It was called the Turkey Bowl in Gill Stadium in Manchester, New Hampshire, and that was a big time. And everybody in the city would come out for those kind of games. And so those are kind of my experiences.
But sort of jumping off Doug's question, did anything in your background prepare you for what the rivalry means here in Columbus?
Again, just seeing, and I've been around sports my entire life. I've watched sports my entire life. That's what I've been since I could remember. I could walk, is just being a part of everything and seeing what it means to so many people. But again, growing up for me, it was more of the pro teams, because that's what I saw, and it was still everything. I remember, family members crying when the Red Sox, were in the World Series and the ball went through Bill Buckner's legs, and I mean things like that. You remember, because that's the way life was. And going into the Garden to watch Bird go against Magic Johnson and those type of things, and those are the reasons why you become a coach, is be in those kind of environments, and this is what this is here. Yeah.
Right next door, Matt.
The ball security issues from last week, you haven't had them really all year. Any common thread in it? Was it just good defensive plays by Penn State and how much is that obviously going on the road, I guess, emphasized this?
Yeah, I mean, it's completely inexcusable, and that's how you ruin a whole season right there. So that being said, I think it was a little bit of both. I think that we were a little careless. I thought a couple of them were really good plays. The one to Justin and the goal line, he's working hard. The ball's pretty tight, and the guy puts his helmet right on the ball. Not an excuse, but I thought if you look at it, he wasn't just being careless there, but not good enough. We score right there. The game could be completely different, and it wasn't. And then the two fumbles there between JK and Justin there in the third quarter, again, inexcusable. Were they good players or not? Who knows? All I know is they can't give up the ball. And we give someone the football, we put the whole team's trust in their hands and the future in their hands, and they know that. They know that. So it's something that they're not great champions. They were warriors. They both played real tough and they played really good, but if you give up the ball, you're not a champion, and you put our team at risk. So, we talked about it, and we're going to get it fixed.
Michigan's run defense, early in the year, they with Wisconsin, which a lot of teams do, but it looks like statistically they've shorted up. What do you see when you look at them? Because that's running game is obviously a big part of their life.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they were kind of finding their way early in the season, and they found a rhythm now. Again, I think probably since the second half of that Penn State games when they caught their rhythm, Wisconsin did hit some runs on them early with Taylor, but they're good. They found their way, and he's done a good job of getting the guys in the right positions to be successful.
Front row left. Mitch?
Coming off that a little bit, Shea Patterson's playing his best football of the season. When you look at tape of him, can you tell why that is? He's doing anything different? What's going on with him these past few games?
I don't really know. I'm not there, so I don't know the dynamics of what's going on. So it's hard to tell when you don't know people. But I do see him being more confident, and I see, a group that feels like they found an identity, and they got really good receivers, by the way. Those receivers are talented, and offensive line's giving them time. So. I don't know exactly what made them all click, but it seems like it's going well right now for them.
Fourth row middle. Wyatt?
I'm going off of Doug's question about Chris Olave's performance. How important is that type of performance in that large of a game for a freshman player in developing him?
Well, I just think it gives him confidence that if he can do it in that game, he can do it in any game, which he's kind of shown that he can do. And so what a great opportunity to step up in a big time rivalry game. And again, this year, who's going to be the guy who steps up and becomes a legend in Ohio State football history. That's what's fun about playing games like this.
Folks, we have just a few more minutes. Just FYI, second row left, right, Tony?
Right. What was your record as a starter when playing for Musket?
Ooh, I think I might have been 1-2. I think. I gotta check to be sure.
Sorry to bring that up.
That was a while ago.
I was going to ask you for your most distinct Michigan memory, but it sounds like it was the start of that 2017 game. Then what do you remember when JT finally went down for good at the end in terms of getting Dwayne ready for that?
Well, going into the game, the week before, we played Illinois at home in the pouring rain, and Dwayne came into the game and fumbled on his second snap. They returned it for a touchdown, and we had to put JT and the starters back in the game, which was a complete nightmare. So that was my last memory of how Dwayne was doing on the field, and now we're in the rivalry game trying to play and win the game. And I think it was his first two snaps were two false starts. It was 3rd and 3, we got a false start. It was 3rd and 8, we got a false start. It was 3rd and 13, then he threw the fade route to Austin Mack. And then from there, he played really good. He kind of stepped into it, and I think that was his, you talk about Chris Olave's moment, that was probably Dwayne's moment to say, yeah, I'm here now. So it was great to see him compete like that. But up until that moment, I wasn't really sure I was going to.
Did you get to talk to him before then? Because were you upstairs at that?
I was in the box, yeah. Yeah, no, it was just, hey, here we go. And have at it, brother.
Front row right, Joey?
Right.